This is a passport to my best friend Kwacakworo, who is growing younger. And I have to honor him to give him this passport as a citizen, a true citizen of South Sudan. So I hope that the passport will reach him safe. And I want God to increase his days so that we meet again. He should come to South Sudan. Thank you very much, Kwacakworo. Wish you long life. Thank you.
Thank you.
So good.
Thank you, Excellency. Thank you.
Thank you.
I will give him. I hope he does not use it to travel to the grave.
I know, he should not go travel to the grave.
He needs to travel to South Sudan.
He travels to South Sudan.
Thank you.
Lappe geht, Lappe nimmt, Lappe füllt und Levi bringt alles gut, man gibt's verfällt, nur so wird's erströmt. Life it gives, life it takes, life it fills, life it makes, funny turns to make life to grow.
Can you hear me, Kibrit?
Okay, yes, I can hear you now. Can you hear me?
I did, yes. Everyone is seated, so everyone is hearing you, so don't say anything they shouldn't hear.
Today we honor a man who was born here and grew up here and then gave his attention, his curiosity, his mindfulness and kindness, his knowledge of language and understanding of people, and not to forget his unbelievable talent of communicating and writing to the world. He gave it to his fellow literature students at universities in France, Sweden and Zurich, to his own students as a professor for French language in the Congo and later in Khartoum. He gave it to the International Red Cross Organization and as their delegate for people in numberless countries such as Bangladesh, Vietnam, India, later Afghanistan, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan and many more. And of course, he gave it to the people from South Sudan. First, during a 7-year stay with the Anuak tribe, which led to the important deployment in the late 80s, where he was relevantly involved in the rescue of 10,000 lost boys during tragic war activities. And of course, which led into his relevant efforts for peace in South Sudan, from where he finally gained his second name. Conradin Perner took his name, his new name, and his life experiences back to Davos, and he conserves them in a very careful and impressive way in his parents' house at the Matterstrasse. But today, we came together to celebrate that Davos is proudly to be the place who can call itself the home of the kind and great Kwacakworo.
And I would like to start with thanking Joanne for bringing all this together and for raising our awareness of this important event to which we are happy to be part of. The giving of the South Sudanese passport is definitely a recognition of your great achievement and work in South Sudan. We are here today with my colleagues because we heard so much about you and read also so much about your work. Among your achievements, of course, the lost boys, one of them being Napoleon here today. The biggest achievement, which shows how you are still very important in this part of the world. And for this, we are very, very grateful and hope that your legacy will last very long.
And because he has written so well, not only in a poetical sense, but in a spiritual sense, which I find so important for all of us. The spiritual personal compensation a delegate working in the Southern Sudan is truly magnificent. To be sent to the Southern Sudan as an ICRC delegate is one of the most requiring, but also one of the most fascinating, beautiful, and rewarding tasks one can imagine. The time spent in the Southern Sudan amongst these proud people will certainly be amongst the most unforgettable memories of a delegate. Extremely cultivated people, in spite of their nakedness and material poverty, very rich in human values, which elsewhere have been replaced by more material matters. And then you say, and I like that also, especially the use of language are the greatest differences between Europeans and Nilotes, you say. For the Nilotes, language, including silence and physical communication, has great spiritual importance. Should use a language which strictly follows the rules of respect and which is always under control. Never, but absolutely never, you say, insult or offend another person. Thank you for this gift.
Kwacakworo spent about 30 to 35 years researching, studying, traveling, and living with the Anuak, and ended up writing a 4-volume book on the language, the Anuak language, including the grammar, including a bibliography on the language, including 2 dictionaries, English Anuak and Anuak English. This curiosity and fascination about the people led to one of the most comprehensive ethnographic studies ever, I think. He was living with the Anuak just like an Anuak. He was hunting with them, he was growing food with them, he was participating in their celebration and harvest and their application of rules of justice and so on. So he ended up writing a monograph, an 8-volume monograph on the Anuak. Each of these volumes is a work of art, written with passion, with rigor, with poetic language. It's a great read, not only for academics, but also for the general public. The Anuaks exhibit remarkable intelligence, extraordinary courage, enthralling artistic skills, and great kindness. And he goes on, the high quality of Anuak work is perhaps the most striking expression of a mind which does not separate inner values from physical existence and practical action. So it was a great, just an incredible project, and no wonder it took so long. I will end with a short story that I told my niece. I was telling my niece about Kwacakworo that after his work with the Anuak, probably about 20, 25 years later, he goes back to South Sudan on a mission or a project. So he was driving. He was going from one tribe to the other, convening meetings and so on. And one time in one of these journeys, he asked his driver, where is he from? And the driver told him, well, I am an Anuak. I am from the Anuak land. And Kwacakworo asked him, where in the Aniwak are you from? So the driver told him the village, and Kwacakworo told him, oh yes, I know that village. I have been there many times. And the driver was of course, all this time he was referring to him as Mr. Perner, Mr. Perner. So he was kind of skeptical, and he asked him, when were you there? Were you there before Kwacakworo or after Kwacakworo? And then Kwacakworo told him, I am Kwacakworo. To the surprise of the driver. And then my niece told me, oh, to the Aniwak, he was like Jesus. There's a time before Kwacakworo and there's a time after Kwacakworo. So, Kwacakworo, thank you so much for all you have done for South Sudan and for the Sudan in general. And congratulations, this is a well-deserved honor. Thanks again, and thanks to all the guests.
Thank you.
Just sending this message first to congratulate you for receiving the South Sudanese passport, although there is really nothing in it, even coming almost 10 years after it was promised. It's a bit bad, and really not so happy about that. But anyway, as they say, it is always better late than never.
He was there for everyone who needed support, particularly weak people. He culturally developed the people of South Sudan, particularly the people of Anuak.
We hope we'll meet you again and you come to South Sudan in a South Sudanese passport. Thank you.
Hey friend, how are you? Miss you a lot. And I'm really very joyous today that finally you're being recognized. You have always been an Anuak, a Nuer, a Dinka, a Cholo, all of them.
Kwacakworo, I was given twice, so now I have to give it to you twice. So it's a presidential seal. I think you can remove it. So, welcome.
Indeed, you were a little bit late, huh? But
10 years late, yes. But you have to remember, we were all becoming citizens also at the same time. Thank you, Kwacakworo. And thanks.
And then also, I must say, I was also a little bit guilty because of this delay. Because the president told me, well, if you go out, you will find people there in front of the office, sitting there, and you fill in the forms, and then you go. Then the people were there. I was not even amazed that there was suddenly just a table there with some people waiting for me. Then they said, oh, you fill in this form. And I was just looking, and I said, application for passport. I said, no, I'm not making any application. I got this. I'm not applying for it. So I left. So then I had to wait for 10 years until when Napoleon's daughter was born, he had to give her a name, of course, and he was choosing the name of my mother, Marianne. So he went here to the cemetery to make sure that he was writing the name correctly. And that is really very nice to honor my mother. I once asked him, why don't you call your son Kwacakworo? He said, no, you are still alive. We can only honor dead people by giving that name. So actually, I want to say the same thing. I just thank you for honoring me. I still don't know really for what, but I'm of course very honored that you are here. That is absolutely wonderful, and it is of course mainly thanks to Joanne. Where is she? I don't know even see her. But anyway, thanks a lot for Joanne for having brought you here, And it is really very kind of you to have come. She's so kind and wonderful, actually. So. So I want to honor him as well and give him some sprit for his car.
Thank you so much.
And this for drinking. This is a small goblet. You can clean it better than I did. It's very nice, but I used to joke. I said, okay, this will be my funeral while still alive. Some kind of Hauptprobe. And that, in a way, is very sad. I mean, it's nice that you honor me, but it would be nicer if you could give me a future and extend my life to time after my death. On one hand, had this idea of a foundation, and especially of using the house. And I hope it will come to a good end. It will be after my death anyway. So. But it will be for the future. And that should be, in a way, the meaning of being honored and of your presence here as well.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.